Welcome into Seahawks Today. I am your host, Will Ortner, and we have a doozy of a football game later on this afternoon. 7-2 Seattle Seahawks, 7-2 Los Angeles Rams battle for the NFC West lead through Week 11 in the NFL season is upon us. Hey, depending on what happens with the Eagles, Seahawks, or Rams winner might end up being the number one team in the NFC. I've gone through all the stats. I've crunched the numbers. And I have found an X factor for your Seattle Seahawks in this game. Who is that X factor going to be? Well, you're going to have to stick around until the end of the video because, well, that's what they call a tease in this business. We'll get to that in just a moment. But before we do that, I have a lot of you that I know are subscribed to the channel. And I love and I appreciate every single person who has done so. But sometimes I hear in my DMs, in my comments, Will, why aren't you talking about this story around the Seahawks? And I say, well, I did. You just missed the video. You want to make sure that you don't miss the videos? Hit that notification bell. Join the Noti gang of Seahawks Today. If you're not subscribed, subscribe and hit that bell. Right now, we're at 10.1K that have the bell turned on. Let's get that number up, and up. You don't want to miss any Seahawks videos, Seahawks news, or Seahawks rumors. So make sure you hit that bell. All right, so I got a couple of reasons for victory for the Seahawks in this matchup, and I think in a shocking development, the big former offensive lineman wants to talk about O-line play, but the Seahawks have to be great when it comes to how their offensive line plays later on today. This Rams defensive line, they are freaking elite, especially on the edges when you talk about Young and when you talk about what's going on with Jared Verse. A lot of really good players with talent to get to the edge as well as stop the rushing attack of opposing offenses. Now, with the Seahawks offensive line, you are obviously going to have a change at center. When you look, you might notice Jalen Sundell, he is not freaking there. Olu Oluwatimi is, and Sundell is going to be out because of the injuries that he's dealing with. Can Olu Oluwatimi step into this offensive unit and not only pick up where Sundell left off, but continue to push forward? You've seen the run game steadily increase from the Seahawks, and you've seen their passing attack just be absolutely nails throughout the entire year, and that's because of what that unit does up front. I want to dive more into the run game, though, here, because the Seahawks offense is built on a run the football, open up the play action pass for Sam Darnold, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, and everybody else. And when you look at the rushing stats right now for your main two leading rushers for the Seahawks, they're fine numbers. But what the numbers don't tell you is that each week they continue to get just a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. When you look at the average for Zach Charbonnet, he's at 3.3 right now. Going into last week, he was at 2.9. So his rushing average went up by 0.4 yards per carry after what he did just the last week. They are running right now at a clip that isn't astounding. You're not one of necessarily the best rushing attacks in the National Football League. But if you look at the numbers over the last 3 weeks, you are top 10. And I think that's saying something because the running game is going to be key here because what you do by running the football is force the Rams to play more base defense. It doesn't allow the Rams to start pinning their ears back and go after Sam Darnold and go after the offensive line that you have here in Seattle. Go after your tackles with exotic blitzes, with twists, with stunts, with constant movement. If you run the football, and I don't need a 200-yard game like you had last week, honestly, I'd be happy with 100, 115. Just enough to keep this defense honest. It's going to open up everything else for you. And make sure that the Seahawks are still staying under center. Because if they're able to stay under center, that opens up everything for this rushing attack. If you have a running back that's directly behind the quarterback, every play in your playbook is available for you. That's why the Seahawks do it this way. Keep running the football at a high rate. I think it's going to help the Seahawks beat the Rams later on today. Spam RB. Show the Seahawks backfield some love. I'm talking about Kenneth Walker. I'm talking about Zach Charbonnet. And I'm talking about George Halani. You're going to need all three of those guys to have an incredible game. Ooh, don't let me forget Robbie Oots as well. All four of those guys have to have an incredible game. I think that they can help push your Seahawks to victory. Spam that RB. Let them know that we care about them and we're thinking about them. My second reason, games are won in the trenches, especially the most important games of your season. Your defensive line has got to get pressure against this Rams team. Right now, when you look at the stats defensively for points allowed on the season, your Seattle Seahawks are 4th in the National Football League. They are not letting teams score points against themselves. If this defensive line is able to continue to play the way that they have been, you are not going to see a lot of points. That number, that 172, that's because of this guy and his friend Leonard Williams and his friend Jaron Reed, who I know isn't going to be there, but his friend Mike Morris, and on and on and on. DeMarcus Lawrence, Uchenna Nwosu. That defensive line has been absolutely eating. They've been great at stopping the run, and they've been great at getting after passers. I mean, shoot, just look at your sack leaders. Now, no one on the Seahawks is jumping off the page to the point of like, hey, they might have the NFL sack crown. But when you look at those numbers, 5.5, 5, 5, 4, you've got 19 and a half of your 29 sacks from these 4 players, and they're all on that defensive line. They have to find a way to get more and more pressure on Matthew Stafford. Now, the rushing attack for the Rams is important, and I will say that you have to find a way to limit the Rams' rushing ability. But this game is going to be won or lost on how well Matt Stafford plays. And he's had a pretty darn good year so far for the Los Angeles Rams. Now, when PFF released their numbers on who was the MVP of the midseason at quarterback, it was Sam Darnold. Matt Stafford was right behind him. I myself thought that Matt Stafford was past his prime. He was done, washed up, has been no good anymore. Clearly, I was wrong. He's got so many touchdowns compared to interceptions. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. But you have to find a way to get pressure on Stafford. He's old. He's less mobile than he has been in the past. And what Matt Stafford does when he gets pressure thrown in his face, he makes mistakes. He'll throw interceptions. Balls won't go where they need to go. Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams are great wide receivers, and they are going to get open in this matchup. If you can continue to get your defensive line into that backfield after 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, that's not going to give Stafford enough time to get the ball away to him. Now, it's going to be hard to see on this graph, on this picture, but Matt Stafford is at the very bottom of a graph, of a chart that tells you how many times a quarterback has moved out of the pocket. Matt Stafford right now leaves the pocket at just 3.8% of his dropbacks. 3.8%. If the Seahawks can get him out of the pocket even 10%, even 10% of his dropbacks, you're going to win this football game. You are going to win this football game today. Now, don't be shocked if Sean McVay, who has been known to use a lot of tight ends this season, decides to go max protection. It worked out well for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The difference is, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you didn't have DeMarcus Lawrence. You got your guy back. You got Tank back. You got a guy who's got more touchdowns than like half of the skill players in the league right now because of his 2 touchdowns last week. This D-line can beat that Max Pro. Ooh-wee. We're going to be pretty happy on Sunday night. I got another reason why your Seahawks are going to beat the Rams later on today. And, of course, I got to still let you know who my X Factor is. But before I do that, I got to let you know that this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with PrizePicks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on any 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if your picks are right, you could cash in. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. PrizePicks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones are overhyped? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on PrizePicks. I have a little 3-pick power play for this weekend. JSN more on his rush and receive TDs. Matthew Stafford less on his pass yards. And Sam Darnold more on his pass yards. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Your quarterback's got to stay hot, man. Sam Darnold has to keep playing at the level that he has been all year, which is a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League. I mean, shoot, according to PFF, the number 1 quarterback so far through the midseason. I mean, just look at his stats. I know that his touchdown numbers aren't the same as Matthew Stafford's, but I think what's more important about it is a stat that not everybody knows, and that's his turnover risk plays. The amount of plays that he throws the football in harm's way. It doesn't happen. His completion percentage is 71.1% on the year. It's one of the highest in the National Football League. According to PFF, he's been the best player in the National Football League this year, at least the best quarterback. He continues to dominate. At this point, if you are a main player in the National Football League or a main expert in the National Football League, and you try to claim that Sam Darnold is not the same player or is not a better version of what he once was, then you are just kidding yourself. Sam Darnold is going to continue to push forward and be a great player for the Seahawks, and he has to do it tonight. If he is able to go out and be as efficient as this chart says he is, your Seahawks are going to win today, and he's going to shut up whatever narratives are out there against him. Look at this chart. It is quarterback's efficiency numbers. So basically, how the amount of yards you're expected to get per play and your completion percentage above that. He's so far on the graph, he almost isn't even on it. He's been the best player. Trust Sam Darnold to continue to play the way that he has been. I do. Stay hot, kid. Shut all the narratives up. If he is smart with the football and does not give the Rams offense extra opportunities, i.e., turn the football over, your Seattle Seahawks are going to win later on today. We are going to be dancing. We are going to be parading. We are going to be partying. I think Sam Darnold can do this. And I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that he keeps playing, keeps marching the way that he has all season long. I've teased you long enough. I've needled you. I've prodded you. I don't like the way that I said that. But I want you to sound off right now in the comments. Who's going to be the X factor for this Sunday's game? Let me know down below in the comments. Here's my X factor. I've been waiting all day to let you know. You know Cooper Kupp wants to show the Rams he's got something left in the tank. He is going to make a big play. He's going to make a big catch. He is going to do something massively important for your Seattle Seahawks today. I'm not saying that he's going to turn back the clock and have 200 yards receiving, 2 or 3 touchdowns, and be the number 1 player for the Seahawks. I am saying there will be a key play, a key pass, a key block, and Cooper Kupp's going to be the one that does it. He's going to stab that knife in the back of his former teammates and let everybody know, let the Rams organization know that they made a mistake when they moved on from him. I think the Seahawks get the victory later on today, but we are going to have a watch party, and I do not want you to miss out on that. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Ring the bell, man. You do not want to miss any Seattle Seahawks content that we have coming out. So make sure that you hit that notifications bell so you get notified whenever a video drops. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you guys later on today.